Neil, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Emily, thank you so much. I really enjoy every time I get a chance to talk to you. I enjoy it. So thank you for having me.
Yes, it is an absolute honor. There is so much that I want to dive in and explore with you. And every time I hear you speak, or every time, I get the opportunity to connect with you, it just feels like this, vast, limitless amount of knowledge and love that you bring for humanity and beyond. And so it is just an honor to be able to connect in this way. And I really want to, peel back the layers and get to know, this incredible, profound being behind Portal to Ascension and, the beauty that you are bringing forward and creating in the world. So, yeah, I want to share a little bit about your bio for those who are maybe not familiar. Um, You are a philosopher, historian, a researcher, a spoken word artist, and the founder of Portal to Ascension, a conscious event production company which hosts a wide range of presenters on a variety of topics such as the origins of humanity, the existence of extraterrestrial life, exposing hidden truths, and exploring spirituality and the nature of reality. Neil has created over 1,000 fully produced events, tours, webinars, and retreats. Portal to Ascension has worked with over 1,500 researchers, spiritualists, scientists, consciousness explorers, teachers, and experiencers. And you facilitate gatherings and documentaries to empower individuals to reclaim their sovereignty and awaken to their full potential.
Hmm.
It is an incredible honor to welcome you, Neil. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I just love having these conversations with you and just going deeper into what is unfolding for all of humanity and understanding the nature of reality. And that's I feel those are some of the topics that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we hit record, you made a tiny comment about being a manifesting generator. So I'm assuming that that is your human design. I'd love if you could share any, aspects of maybe your human design or astrology that resonate for you.
Yeah, so I'll start with astrology. I'm a Scorpio, and I got my astrology done many times, but I almost always forget everything within it. But for a long time, I even though I was doing these events, I never resonated with astrology because a lot of people victimize themselves, or in the mainstream, even you hear like, "Oh, you're this, well, you're stubborn. You're a Scorpio, you're stubborn. You're this, that." And then one day, I came to the understanding that there were harmonic version and disharmonic version of everything in this world. And so then I started focusing on what are the harmonic balance traits of a Scorpio. And as soon as I started doing that, all of a sudden, all these people were manifesting into my life. All these people were manifesting into my life. And they were Scorpio, and they had all these similar traits to me, depth of their spiritual knowledge, their purpose on this planet, the way they communicated. And I was like, wait, this is too much for too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence, right? So I started exploring into it even more and more. Now, when I was astrology, read multiple times, every single person who's read my astrology has it's like tripped out and said they've never seen anything like this. And I forget what the houses are, but all of my whatever these are go into two houses, and it's the house of spiritual knowledge and communication.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because I'm here to communicate spiritual knowledge on a mass level. So
I
all these things are in alignment. Go ahead.
I love it so much, because oftentimes it's like, you sometimes will be curious and wonder like, oh, I wonder, with the knowledge of astrology or human design or something like this, it's like, oh, I wonder. And for you, I've always been curious, like, I wonder, I feel like he probably has like a stellium in the ninth or the third house. And so it makes sense that you do. Yeah.
Right, right. So when and then also like I had some astrology readings done, even told me like my Jupiter is going to be conjunct whatever, Pluto or something, and those were in alignment with times of abundance. And when those dates actually occurred, things actually changed in my life. You know, when somebody had predicted the abundance level, that was when I became profitable with Portal to Ascension that same exact month, right? So now I'm kind of, I don't use it as a end all be all, but I definitely see that astrology is a guide, you know, is basically a guiding map of how we can navigate ourselves and understand what our best qualities are and how to harmonize the ones that are distorted, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at with astrology. For my human design, I got my human design done like 15 years ago, and I don't remember all the details now, but I remember I was told manifesting generator. When I speak to a lot of people about the events I do, the level of events that we create, you know, like so many over 100, 110 or so fully produced conferences, webinars, retreats, tours a year, that is definitely a manifesting generator trait. Like we're having a projector in my life is really important because that projector gives me that balance in order to basically stop me from going so fast so that we can focus on certain projects and bring me back to certain projects. So now I'm actually utilizing this. And, you know, like I've been thinking for a while, if like mainstream organizations used human design in the way that they allot the roles of people, it would really like work for the benefit of everyone, even intentional communities who's
Yeah.
doing from who's doing dishes to whatever, right? So in Portal to Ascension, we actually do use that. You know, we look at the human design and we realize what our traits are, and we kind of, you know, encourage those traits to be blossom within the organization.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I feel like it's such a useful tool. And, I also am a manifesting generator in human design. And so I can relate to your sharing of, just having a need to balance the energy, if you're
Absolutely.
constantly on the go. And I love that you're using these tools with Portal Dissension and building community, because I think it's so valuable to understand, people's highest expressions and how they relate to one another.
Hmm. Yeah, because I do go a million miles per hour, and on one level, Portal Ascension wouldn't be where it is if I didn't go a million miles per hour and we're able to do so much. But now that they have so many systems involved where we have entire platforms, organizations, and things working with us, it's really great to have the balance. And which is why I'm doing a lot of inner work myself right now, just to be able to balance my own energy. And because my human design, just to go into kind of my childhood for a bit, is also amplified from the wounds of never being good enough, never being productive enough for my family. So I went hardcore into like never stop, you know. I need to prove something to some non-existent entity. So balancing that out.
Yeah, I'd love to explore that and go a little bit, deeper in your journey, because like one thing just, from witnessing you, it's just prolific in the amount of content that you're creating, events that you are, putting on, and just the amount of research that you are putting out into the world. And so it's amazing to not be able to, burn yourself out with that level of productivity, I would say. So I'm just curious for you, like, what are some of the ways that you really like recharge your energy and come back into balance?
Yeah, because I did for years and years. I burnt myself out. I was going so fast with Portal Ascension that I would just crash and have like a few days where I didn't do anything, but I still have the anxiety of not being able to do things. And then when you get to the level of this many events, you know, every few days I have at least 100 emails every 2 to 3 days in my inbox, customer service, all types of things. Even though I have a customer service person, there's a lot of bigger picture elements that really can't be focused on by them that I need to be a part of, you know, even some of the regular tasks. So since I was like having those crashes, I really can't be at a place where I can have a crash, because then customer service doesn't happen and someone needs a replay for an event and they've waited 3 days. And if we're going to be a professional organization, I'm not following through, right? So what I've done now is, as ever since I've been traveling the world, I've been taking myself and living in the most beautiful places that when I wake up in the morning, I step outside, I'm just reminded of beauty. And or like the last few days, I'm 10 seconds from the beach here in the Yucatan. So like right before this, because I'd been going so fast, I went to the beach and I just put my phone aside and I just sat for 10 minutes. and I was just like really need to calm myself down. So those are some things I do when I do large events, because we do 10-hour events. We do 5-day, 55 speaker, 10-hour day events. The way I take care of myself in those days is I eat lighter, unless it's the end of the day where I like to celebrate, right? I like to celebrate a lot. But then I have juices and things to really fuel my energy so that I'm not crashing, I'm not drinking a bunch of coffee during those days. So taking care of myself in those levels. And I sleep 8 hours a day. Like I love my sleep. I sleep 8 hours a day. I go to sleep at 10, maybe 11, because I've already worked like 12 hours in that day. Why keep going? You know? So yeah, so I go to sleep at sometimes I would say most times I sleep like 9 hours a day. Yeah. So some people ask me, do I sleep? Well, yeah, I sleep more than almost everyone. So those are some things I do.
Yeah, those are pretty amazing ways to like really uplift your energy, keep your frequency high, to be able to really accomplish your soul mission here, which is so beautiful. So yeah, thank you for sharing those.
Yeah.
And something that I've noticed is that you've really like brought this community together, and not only the wider community that tunes in and listens and is a part of Portal to Ascension, but also these leaders and these way sharers. And I noticed that you have taken a step back from like hosting every single thing and have now this team that really of beautiful multidimensional beings that can help kind of co-create. How was that? I'm just curious, like how that process and journey was for you, from an energetic perspective of like really allowing this consciousness to unfold.
So I'll give an example. About 6 years ago, I still did 4 or 5 day events, right? Um, and I just did a 5-day Starbeam conference a few weeks ago, and 6 years ago, I did what we call Full Disclosure Online Summit. It was a 5-day event. First day was on the monetary system, ETs, and then another day on conspiracies. And I hosted the whole entire thing. So for 5 days, I was just sitting on my chair, pretty much just like going through it. And it was just a lot of energy. And then as time progressed, I started making more and more connections. My relationship with Alan Steinfeld became even closer, and he's into everything just like I am. So I started incorporating a speaker here and there. But to show you the evolution, about 3 years ago, I realized like I want to do so. Okay, during COVID, a lot of people went online, right? We had already established an online community, so we didn't need to change anything. We just started getting more people on our events, and then um, I was realizing, because we were doing more workshops, solo workshops, 2 hours, 3 hour events with different speakers, and less conferences. But I started realizing and feeling it, the energy plus our annual survey was letting me know that people wanted more conferences. So they had more time at home. They want 9 to 10 hour events, and they want to be around the same people online where they can engage for multiple hours rather than just be spoke to at a lecture that's just a 2 to 3 hour lecture. So that shifted me into creating more conferences 3 years ago. And as I was doing that, I realized that the conferences, the online webinars, I can produce a full online webinar, have it launched within 30 minutes, right? But a conference will take hours of a time, because you got to contact every speaker. You need to create the schedule for them all. You need to coordinate promotional information to multiple people. There's so much involved in that. So doing more conferences was more energy. So I decided, well, there's all these organizations that I've done like one-off events with. What if I chose a few people to co-produce events with, and therefore we split everything on production, on all the energy. They get all the info, I can just create the event page or something like that. So I
Mhm.
started doing that 3 years ago, and experimenting with different organizations and people. Sheila Seppi's one of them. Shreya Dharma, 3 years ago. I've been working with her for years, but we started producing stuff together. And then Joan of Angels, about 2 years ago, I showed her my list of conferences for the that I have like 2 years of events listed already. And I said, pick 5 of them. You know, well, which ones do you like the most, and you want to help me out with? and she picked 5 that were more close to her heart: Kundalini, crystal skulls, a few others. And then I started splitting the energy in the time. So that was kind of the beginning phases of me incorporating more and more speakers and more MCs. Then in October 2020, during quarantine, October 2020, I decided to do the big Portal to Ascension conference. But since so many people were online and so many people are at home and so were the MCs, I was like, well, I don't want to put in all this energy and effort. Why don't I choose like 10 other of my friends that do stuff, bring it all together? That was the milestone in the success of that. The dynamic energy of having multiple people and personalities come in and out, different faces, engaging in the in betweens to talk about what we just heard together, to digest everything that we heard, was so great, and people loved it so much that now I deliberately do that for multiple events. So when I do a 5-day event, 3 or 4 day event, I don't want, there's no reason for me to spend all that energy and burn myself out, because if I incorporate more people, all it does is get it out to more people and make it more of a fun event for everybody involved, right? So that's kind of, yeah, that's actually the exact, I've never explained it before. That's the exact evolution of how it happened.
I love hearing like the behind the scenes. It's so fascinating. And I want to go back to something that you mentioned, earlier, which is, this journey of sort of healing and especially the wound of productivity. And I feel like as, the consciousness of a business or a creation expands, it's like our energy that is matching that vibration. And there is a lot of, healing and inner work that comes along with that journey. So I'd love if you could share like anything that has been really poignant or important about your journey.
In regards to the healing process of the the productivity element, is that what you say?
Yeah, or anything else in your journey of healing and remembering.
Yeah. So to speak on that first, I'll say this firstly. Portal to Ascension an attempt for a solution to heal from childhood wounds. I didn't realize that until 2016, where I'd already been doing events for 8 years. When I was in an ayahuasca journey in Peru, I had this whole entire revelation and realization of why I created Portal to Ascension, right? I just thought I was curious and interested and got into spirituality, but I realized I had a whole vision where I saw that I had, not only was I healing 7 generations of like sexual trauma within my Indian lineage, but I was also looking for a way to heal from things that really affected me as a child, to the point that it created so many distortions and anxieties and depressions through my entire life. So Portal to Ascension was an answer to it, and which is why I never really had the opportunity to feel anger, and anger in a way that is expressed. I guess it's hard to say anger expressed in a way that's balanced, because like anger should be expressed,
Yeah.
but I didn't even express my anger and frustration with my wounds, because I saw the fact that I created something so beautiful from my wounds, so I couldn't even have anger or for what happened to that child, right?
Mm.
So as I started realizing it was an answer to me to heal whatever happened to me, I started doing it more intentionally and creating things more intentionally. Thinking like, well, I want to go into understanding my Kundalini. Let me create a whole conference on Kundalini. So a lot of things that I'm either curious about, interested in, but also a lot of things that I want to do for my own healing process. I create events and I learn from the best. A good example is the Heal the Divide conference that we did for free. I was thinking like, well, there's division in the world, right? Politically, even in the UFO community, so much division. Divide and conquer is the name of the game, but it's also kind of a metaphor, or if you will, because it's really also about healing the divide within us, this disconnection. I felt that division. I felt that disconnection. So as we were having this conference, like an all-day event on our YouTube, and we're having conversations and panel discussions, and we started realizing that we're talking about this external divide, but it all came to the division within and how that is externally reflected. So it quickly shifted into tools in order to really get to a place of unity within ourselves. So I want to go deeper into talking about the productivity thing as well, but I'm gonna stop for a second if you want to kind of comment on that.
Yeah, I love that so much. I love how you've really like integrated that as a part of your journey and the beauty that you're bringing forward. And I feel very grateful that similarly, the Soul Collective has been a part of my journey of remembering. It's like every conversation brings forth this wisdom and these jewels that really like meet me um, where I am, and it's such a beautiful gift. And so, it's a gift that is given to me, and then it's such a benefit that there are listeners that are in resonance, that feel take something from the conversations as well.
Yeah, and the more and more I move through life, I'm realizing that we have the ability to either be a victim or a master of our deepest wounds, and that's what this world's really about. So if we go into some galactic nature information for a second, and we think about the fact that as we ascend and move into this cosmic community, we'll be going out there and teaching the rest of the universe on what we did and how we did it. What are we going to be teaching? We're going to be teaching how we healed our collective wounds. And one of that is the wound of separation, also the wound of forgetfulness, and
Mm.
how we remembered in this world where all the cards were stacked against us. And that's the deepest wound. The deepest wound is amnesia. We don't remember who we are on truest divine potential. So I feel we are going to be the ambassadors of remembrance on some level, right? So, and that just to speak more on the productivity thing. So as like, I was never really good in school. I never really, I was a clown for the most part. That's what, well, I don't want to use those words because that's what my family called me. They made me feel like a clown. My dad really got upset with me because he just thought I was a goof a lot, and he had great parents, really nice people and compassionate people, but they also are really like that hardcore conservative Indian perspective of like you need to study, you need to get a business, A's and B's are okay, but I got C's and D's, so imagine the anger that they were receiving from me, right? So
I'm
I
smiling
never,
because
and
I
then
can 100% relate.
like,
Yeah.
and it was always projected on me that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't doing good enough, I wasn't enough. Um, very soon in my, when I was 17, 18, and I'd already taken out a Guitar Center credit card to get a guitar, and I'd already like defaulted on it. My conversations went from like "you're my son" to finances like really early. I wasn't ready for that kind of shift into those were the conversations with my family. I was already really cold. Never really said I love you because it's just not something in the nature. And then I was in this point now where I'm not good enough. I'm not doing things well financially. I wasn't doing well in college. Everything ended up turning out perfectly fine. I got my bachelor's degree eventually. So everything that they were afraid of, I ended up doing, despite all the challenges that I would receive from them. They actually made it harder for me, even though they don't realize that, right? And so then there was this thing of like basically, just to put it bluntly, it's more like let me keep doing these things and keep producing, daddy, so you'll love me. It's like love me, love me, love me. So the only way you can love me is if I do stuff. And now I'm at a point where I'm actually doing things because I'm passionate about it. And I still have this, I have on some level, and I had, but not as much as I used to, with this underlying energy of you're not doing enough, you're not worthy enough, therefore just keep going 100 miles per hour. And sometimes I allow that to be because I realize I want to grow this organization too, and having that has actually become some sort of fuel that has really helped me do what I'm doing now. Just to add to that, like it's really about balance and breath and breathing and just calming yourself down, regulating your nervous system. I also have a really shocked nervous system from so much things that happened to me, from sexual abuse to yelling at me all the time, to like not just the amount of trauma that was induced. Like I don't want to list it all off. Really made my nervous system jump. You know, to the point that at one point in my life, if someone opened the door and you know how it makes that quick sound when you open the door, my body would just jump. My whole
Mm.
system would just jump. Like it's ingrained in me, right? And now it's not as much anymore. I'm working through a lot of it, but those are some of the things that really affected me in a huge way.
Yeah, so much in that share, because I feel like from a nervous system level, that is such a shift that needs to take place. Like, I can totally relate to that, almost being in like a state of fight or flight, where it's, you're using almost work as an addiction, or like a coping mechanism to not like feel all the feelings. At least that has been a part of my journey, and in order to shift that, I love how you bring through like that nervous system needs to be down regulated and calm, so that we're able to like fully feel and feel safe in that ability to be with it all. And that is really transformative. And I feel like so many listeners can relate to your share, and I know I relate to this on such a deep and personal level of looking for that external validation. And I remember when I started soul media, it was like wanting to get that approval still from my parents and my father, especially, like, it's making money and it's doing all these things, like, and it and it really was a journey of recognizing and sourcing all of that self-worth from within. And that, I feel like, is such a big shift in the way that energy is able to move and evolve.
For
So yeah,
sure.
thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that.
From my pleasure. From a third dimensional perspective, from my parents' perspective, I failed quite a lot, right? I've shifted my belief system around the word failure, and honestly, like, I tried many times to make portal ascension well before do something profitable, really, before it actually became profitable. 2016 was the shift. 2015 actually. So there was 7 years of events and traveling and touring and living in my car and all these stuff. Not that I had to. I could have got a regular job at any point. I just did it because I just wanted to do this work full time. And that reflection back to my parents of like, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to have get a house? How are you going to support yourself? Nobody can make money of spiritual things. All that stuff. Like, so I'm really amazed actually at what I've created with all these energies. Even interventions from three of my uncles and aunts telling me, sitting down with me, telling me you can't do anything with portal to ascension. Spiritual stuff doesn't pay your bills, right?
Oh my
And
gosh. Well,
now
thank goodness.
it shifted, and my dad is like, really sees that I'm doing something big, but at the same time, he's like, "When are you gonna save?" I'm like, "I'm 100%. Honestly, I'm 100% in. I'll save money when it gets to where I want it to get to. Every single thing that comes in goes back into making everything bigger and reaching more and more people. And it's just a really, really different perspective on life and reality. My dad said the other day to me as he was dropping me off to the airport, he hasn't said anything negative about my business for like a year and a half because he's been, and this wasn't really negative, but what he said is, what are you doing down in Mexico? Because I've been traveling all over the place for a year. And I'm, well, my team's coming down there. The New Year's, 5 people are coming down there. And we're going to work together. And he goes, what about the business? How much money are you putting in the business? Well, you need to start saving. And I said, well, I feel great about what I'm doing. I get to be in the most beautiful places, and and I'm doing my hobby full time, learning about ancient history. And he goes, but that's the thing, a hobby is a hobby, and a business is a business. And I said to him, for the first time, I like stood in my ground. I was like, no, I don't believe that. I believe that you can live your hobby full time, enjoy yourself in the world, and you can make money doing it. You know,
Yes.
and
Full body
so I
chills.
feel like those are my truth.
Full
Say
body
that again.
chills with that. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that is like the new paradigm that we're moving into. And it is a huge shift of really truly believing that you can love what you do, be passionate about it, like
Yeah.
share your gifts, share your light, and you know, realize abundance from sharing those things as well. And one thing that really like stands out for me is the way that you lead with your heart. And like you said, you're like fully all in. And at this point it's like unshakable. And the reason why I want to explore this is because I feel as though like in moving into this new paradigm, and you even share about this, is like we're moving up into a new octave, a new frequency, and there's quite a bit of shifts and changes in this evolutionary process. And like I refer to this as a bridge period, and the way that I relate this is like for light workers, star seeds, healers, intuitives that want to share their gifts, like they might not see that instantaneously materialize where all of a sudden, you know, I have this business, I'm able to share my gifts. Like, and so you had like the faith and the trust to be able to, you know, continue on for years and of dedication, and now seeing like the fruits of that. So just like wonder what advice that you have for those people navigating this period of wanting to share more of their gifts with the world.
Well, right now it's really literally game time, right? So a few years ago, I when I first got woke up, 2001, 2002, I was at bars telling people about ETs. You know, I was like, you gotta know this. Like, I was like the crazy person with a sign, the world is ending. But I wasn't saying it was ending. I was saying like this ascension, all this stuff. And then I got to a place where I let go of the need to change people's reality and try to push it on them that you must know, you must know. And then I shifted into more of a balanced perspective because those are both extremes. Now it's more like there is no holding back. It's game time. The system is not going to survive much longer. Jobs that are there's a it's so interesting because the way they really get us, whoever they are, is a system within a system within a system. They create inception within this dream. If this reality is a dream, we're incepted like 3 to 4 times. We're so matrix that you got multiple matrices to peel out of before you can even break free. So, and I would say like the stock market is a matrix. How fake is that thing? We just completely fabricated it, right? And someone could say something on Twitter, and all of a sudden you got a few $1,000,000, right? Or you've lost something. And and then there's also the matrix of the system of jobs that we've created. All these jobs that literally do nothing for the earth or for us. All they do is generate money for some people to live a better life than others. Pretty much most of the jobs out there. So as we're moving into this new octave, a lot of the jobs that are fueling this fake matrices are going to start crumbling away and no longer be in existence. And if that occurs, when that occurs, then we're going to have a whole new set of responsibilities, jobs, whether the financial system's still here or not, who knows. And what is occurring now is a crumbling of those systems that don't work and a structuring of those other systems that are really on a grassroots level right now. So the reason why I come to more of a balanced perspective is because you can do whatever you want. I'll say my truth, and you can take it or you can leave it. But really, if you want to be a part of this new resurrection of this new world that is being created, it's really time to focus on what you're passionate about and you love and enjoy. Life shouldn't be something that you're dreading, right? And I've dreaded life for a long time. I did. It should be something that you wake up and you're ready to confront and you're happy and joyous to do so. So it doesn't have to be you're doing your Reiki healing certification so you can be doing that, but it could be something else that gives you joy, music, all those elements. I understand that we're in a system in which we need to generate income, and some of these things won't actually generate for immediately. And I'm a great example of that because I did it for like 6, 7 years, and I kept doing it full time, not working, going back to a job, back and forth. Then I started doing a regular job um, while I was doing this on the side, putting more and more energy into this until it finally became what I was going to do full time. So now you can even work your regular job in the matrix if you want all the time, but maybe there's something for you that you really want to dive into that helps uplift humanity and human consciousness. Whether it's taking a walk every day and being that person that says hi to everybody, you know, or
Mhm.
if it's really deep diving into information and spreading it out and sharing it on social media. So I'll just say this to wrap that up. It's really showtime, guys. Like all of the people that are awake right now to this information, right? Some of us actually did a little default detour here. A lot of the spiritual teachers have experienced the most deepest wounds. And the reason why we've experienced the deepest wounds is because we are have destined to become the masters of that and teach others how to transcend it. So a lot of us within this community have had these wounds, but we haven't had the opportunity, time, and energy to even focus on healing it. So a lot of time those wounds come up within the community. Get a lot of all types of energy conflicting around. So what you can do that is the best thing for all of humanity is really look and reflect on yourself. Get to a place of non-reaction. Get to a place of true unconditional love for yourself. And I got to be honest, I'm not 100% there myself, but I'm definitely doing the work. I'm definitely getting through it. The amount of wounds that I had. I can do a whole entire 5-day conference myself talking about it. So And so I'm really like working on peeling these layers back because I want to be able to love and connect to the world. But the more and more I do that, the more I realize that the only way I can do that is by finding a connection to myself. And so, and the connection to myself comes from getting to that place of, objective neutrality and pure unconditional love. So, I kind of went on a rant there to keep
I
going, but that's it.
love that you took it there. That is so beautiful. And I really truly believe like that is a more integrated way of looking, because oftentimes we think of things in terms of like what are you doing, which is more of like a masculine energy. But I really truly believe that the greatest gift that we can give is our energy, is our vibration. And from there, everything else sort of like crystallizes into form. So when we're starting and focusing on our own energy, it makes it a lot easier to bring forth and really create all things with love.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, that's what it's all about. We're here to love and uplift into this reality where we can truly feel the love that we are, right? And truly be in joy and have that balanced state of just like contentness and just happiness of being here and existing. And that's what is our destiny, right?
It
So part
is.
of that is that there may be some chaos and things that need to crumble in the process, but that's just all a part of the experience that we need so we can get to where we know we can be.
Absolutely. It is such an exciting time. And as you share, it is game time. This is a time to really let your heart lead the way, to share your gifts, to really remember who you are and why you're here. And, one question, I know you have such a depth of understanding around this, is the yuga cycles and the cycles of time. And curious from your perspective, if you feel like we can essentially transcend these cycles and really bring forth a new era of consciousness where we're not returning back to the dark ages or lower levels of consciousness.
So there's two train of thoughts. In all my research in the Yuga cycles, I've seen that there's two train of thoughts. When you look at the ancient civilizations and they're talking about the four cycles that we're in, that there's around, after this cycle, we're going to go into two other ages before we hit the golden age, the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, then the Golden Age. And then we're coming down that cycle in the descendant cycle where we go Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, back to the Kali Yuga. So technically, with that cycle kind of graph, we have another 20,000 to 22,000 years of an age that's either much better or a little bit better than the one we're in right now. And that's the cycle that we've been going through 26,000 cycles for quite some time. Now, some researchers are saying that there was cultures on the planet that existed within force fields where they were transcendent and not a part of the ages, whereas humanity was going through these ages, but they were able to create a higher advanced civilization for a longer period of time. Now, the other train of thought is we're skipping the next two ages and going straight to the golden age. I don't really see any actual historical evidence for that, just based on people's channeling information. And I'm not sure if it's channeling or if it's wishful thinking. Because are we thinking that being at a lower age is bad? Right? Are we projecting that going through these shadow experiences are a negative experience? And because of that, our maybe identity, our ego wants to believe that we're transcending all the other ages forever and going up to another one, right? And you're gonna, as I'm talking, you're gonna hear that I'm just gonna give you 20 conflicting everything that is out there, but I'm not tapped in. I'm talking to, well, on some level, I'm tapped into the galactic community, right? But I'm not having these direct downloads where they're telling me this information where I'm like, oh my God, we actually are transcending these ages. So all I can do is really piece together all the information. So whether we're changing from the Kali Yuga to this golden age, or if we're going through a cycle that's going to continue, that to me, I don't really have the answer to. Now, if I was going to give my own belief, just separating my own belief from all the information out the historical record and other researchers, my belief is that the fifth world, the whole understanding of us transcending to the fifth world, which is an ancient indigenous prophecy, that we have been restarted and reset with the four elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. Different types of things happen: floods, earthquakes, volcanoes. And the fifth element, the fifth world, is the etheric realm, where it's not destructive, it's transmutation. So we don't actually die to ascend, but we actually take our bodies with us. That is also another belief. So I feel that if humanity had the opportunity to not have to go through forgetfulness, because these cycles are completely connected to the forgetfulness and not remembering who we are, right? And our connection to the cosmos. So as we go through these cycles of forgetfulness, a lot of times we have to start all over again. So what would happen if humanity was able to navigate using the understanding of astronomy, astrology, the way our consciousness works, historical research and evidence that tells us how these cycles work, mainstream evidence from physics.org even that shows that we have patterns where there's galactic weather that can cause entire catastrophes and extinction level events on the Earth. What would happen if we can continue to evolve without having to restart and reset? Well, we can then become the star beings to the rest of the universe. We can continue evolving. There are some civilizations out there, and some say even the ones in hollow Earth and inside Earth, that have been in this force field energetic bubble, kind of, that they've been able to continue their evolution without having some sort of cataclysmic event that has made them have to start all over again. So I hope, I wish, not from the fact that it's bad to be in a negative place, but from the fact, well, how amazing would it be if humans from Earth continue to evolve, tap into the technology for hundreds of thousands of years, and then we go out and start populating the cosmos in a harmonious, balanced way, start interacting with other beings. So that's kind of my take on it all.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to hear you share and bring forth so much wisdom to allow people to really, tune in and feel what resonates. And, I just feel like this time is ripe with so many possibilities, and it is a matter of our conscious intention and evolution. And we are, I feel, getting so much support and assistance from beyond, from our galactic family and other realms. And so, yeah, it will be interesting for me. One of the biggest curiosities, and I'd love to hear your perspective, is the the physical body. We've been gifted these divine vehicles to, travel in through this physical experience. And I feel like there's so many keys and codes that are sort of hidden in plain sight within our physical body. And the more that we really like bring that divinity and feel more comfortable in our physical bodies and learn how to explore that technology as we're raising our frequency and moving into a new octave, I feel like this is where like teleportation and other exciting avenues come into play.
I agree with that. And that's our innate abilities. We're more than a five sensory being. We have the ability. Well, if we look at just quantum physics and what this world looks like, the nature of reality, we're all vibration and frequency. There is no solidity. This is almost like a very advanced computer program. And within that, we can actually, so we're in, this is the way I look at it, that we're in this like really, and the reason why I say this organic, advanced virtual computer simulation is because a lot of people take that word computer and they think that you're saying something, not organic and something that is not in alignment with source. But we are basically a bunch of frequencies, the vibrations, code, computer code, if you will, source code. How about that one's good one actually? We're source code, right? And we're source code with all these different actors and players within the game, and all these actors and players don't know that they're in the game. Okay. And then what's happening is we're going from a co-creation where we're creating things together unconsciously to a conscious creation.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is when you get to a conscious creation, is you actually are able to change the code yourself and to shift the frequencies and shift the code to be betterment of all of humanity. And part of that is now we got the movie The Matrix, bending space time, doing backflips in an impossible way, jumping over buildings. All of this is that. All it needs to do is the coding needs to be tweaked a little bit for us to be able to achieve those levels. And the way that reflects into physicality is through DNA activations, codes coming in, frequency uplifts. So the way the game is created is that when coding is changed, some sort of way for us to realize it's happening to us in the physical occurs. And that's through sound healing, DNA activation, plant medicine experiences, all of those things are tapping into that source, I feel.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And you shared about going to tantra retreat, which I feel like is such a, expansive way to tap into that energy, because I feel like we've been taught that, sexuality or sensuality is, quote unquote sinful, by certain, ideologies. And it's like, really, that is getting in touch with, your own natural rhythms and how to move energy through the body, and how to, really bring through, these different energies and frequencies. It's just really a matter of, attuning to that energy.
Yeah, so many things that are natural, we've had taboo around, and that's another talk in itself
Yeah,
about all the natural things that have been shown to be a negative thing and to be taboo. But even the way we portray ourselves, we don't even portray ourselves naturally. Even social media, where we feel like just being ourselves and normal and just presenting ourselves as we are is almost not going to be accepted by the masses. So that's part of the journey I'm on, is like when it comes to relationships, sex, sexuality, and all that stuff. Man, I just had so many distorted beliefs imposed upon me, and I got divorced a year ago. Now I'm like traveling the world, going through emotions like loneliness and different things like that, and working on a lot of things that I didn't have to deal with because I was in a relationship, connection, intimacy, and all of these beliefs are coming up around it, shame, guilt. So I'm just kind of over it. I don't want to be in that anymore. I don't want to not feel good about myself and my life and people around me and connections. So that's why I'm going to that retreat, is just to see, just to be open to whatever experiences that can help me work through these energies.
absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like that, at least, the high vibrational experiences that I've had with exploring tantra, and it's like, um, it really is repairing, I feel like, those frequencies of shame or guilt, or, stigmas around connecting, or, that are just so natural and so beautiful. And so I love that, because there's so much there, and there's so many like layers and facets, which, you're bringing forth and exploring, and that's one piece of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Neil, I am so grateful for this conversation. I feel like I could talk to you for hours, and I know that you've got, places to go, but I would love to explore. I know you have so many events that you put on. Um, you have your big conference that is in April. Could you maybe share with listeners some of the different ways that they can connect with you and the upcoming events? And also curious, do you offer like one-on-one session work? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I don't do one-on-one sessions because I'm just really busy with all the other things that I'm creating, productions. I have done that in the past. If you are interested, you could email me and we could maybe speak about it. But what I'm excited about is that next year we're really taking things to a whole other level. Every year we're up leveling. I love to use the New Year's as symbolism to really just shift things to a whole other octave within Portal to Ascension. And so our main conference is the Portal to Ascension Conference in San Diego, April 21st, 22nd, 23rd, San Diego, California, at the Marina Village. It's actually 5 minutes from SeaWorld. That is our fifth annual event. And for the last 3 years, we've been online. And now we're going back to doing it live in California. And it's going to be not only like a celebration, but the amount of information, awareness, and networking in a beautiful area overlooking the ocean, the whole thing has been crafted in a way to really just like cultivate happiness, peace, and excitement, and fun and education at the same time. So that's at ascensionconference.com. Ascensionconference.com. We got amazing speakers there, so please do go check it out. And then we're also doing one in Glastonbury. So we're doing the Portal to Ascension Glastonbury Conference, which is in the UK. And that's August 11th, 12th, and 13th, and that's ascensionglastonbury.com. The Glastonbury one is like a tour, a retreat, a conference, a ceremony, intention setting, and grid work all in one event. So, because Glastonbury has been said to be the heart chakra area, whether it is or not, it still has a lot of ley lines going through it. And there's a lot of dark energy and light energy there because of that fact. So, we're going to be doing a lot of heart opening awareness, a lot of education, as it is a lot with Portal Ascension, information, presentations, but then also ceremony. We're going to start out with a cacao ceremony. We're going to have a harpist play. So we're really tapping into the ancient druidic awareness of that area too. And it's a straight up 3 day ceremony where we're going to utilize the awareness to amplify our own collective hearts in that space and then send it into the ley line. So, like a conference with gridwork, it's really next level. And that's just a couple. We have 2 tours to Egypt. You can sign up on our website, portaltoascension.org. You'll get info on that. And then we also doing a Crystal Skulls conference in Sedona at the end of the year. And those are the live events. We still have 100 online events too. So portaltoascension.org is the best way to be connected to it all.
Incredible. We will share all of those in the show notes. Gosh, we didn't even get to sound and vibration, which I have so many questions for you about. So we'll have to have you, back on the show sometime. And but
Yes.
just to close out, I mean, Neil, this has been such a incredible conversation. You're such a gift to humanity, to Gaia, to beyond, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to connect with you in this way. I'd love if you would be willing to share with listeners some form of sound to close us out for today.
Okay. So I would think you're talking about spoken word, or maybe not, because if we were going to do any other sound stuff, I think my mic should be a little better because it won't pick up the range, right, of like sound. But I'll say this to everybody, that you should experiment with chanting the vowels A-E-I-O-U. Chant each vowel 3 times, fully breathing into your lungs, into your diaphragm, and chant those. That is something that I have found to be really powerful. And the name of God in ancient Kabbalic texts is actually the vowels, and there's a whole. When we have the sound talk, we'll go into that one. And but what I'll do is I'll share a little spoken word piece. This has been a really great conversation, a really meditative conversation, I feel. Just talking like really sincerity about our lives and what's, how we got here, rather than focusing on, just information and the education element. So what I'll do is I'll do the meditate and levitate one, and we'll close this out with just a meditate. It's just a meditative kind of poem. It's one of the lighter ones, not so. After this peaceful conversation, I don't want to go hardcore with the spoken word, so we'll do a peaceful. All right, here we go. Meditate and levitate. Waves of frequencies resonate higher. I'm connected to the provider. Source of cosmic energy. We're going to be one single entity. Expansion remedied. Oneness must breathe. Exhale and let free. Consciousness to be. Experiences of you and me. Souls of interdimensional beings to feel, hear, and see this third-dimensional planetary existence. All time can be found in one instance. In this realm of linearity, atoms in anarchy, quantum polarity, the epitome of creation. Facing our egos, acquiring patience, waiting to let go of our nations, and join the federation of souls that will take us to the fifth world. And join the federation of souls that will take us to the fifth world. So I'll take a deep breath in together. And let it out through the heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. I
My
can see
pleasure.
why
Thank
you call that meditate and levitate. I'm definitely feeling that elevated frequency.
you.
So thank you so much.